In a move that has sent shockwaves through the corridors of power in Washington, D.C., the government of Trinidad and Tobago has made a bold and unexpected decision that is reverberating across the Western Hemisphere. The announcement, which came earlier today, has left political analysts and diplomats scrambling to assess the implications for regional alliances and energy markets. As news of the decision broke, reactions poured in from both sides of the Atlantic, with many questioning what this means for the future of U.S. engagement in the Caribbean. The sense of urgency and surprise in Washington is palpable as officials attempt to recalibrate their approach in light of this dramatic turn of events. Just hours ago, officials in Port of Spain delivered a stunning diplomatic blow by formally rejecting a high-profile energy alliance proposed by former U.S. President Donald Trump. The proposal, which aimed to strengthen energy ties and increase American influence in the Caribbean, was seen by many as a cornerstone of Trump's foreign policy ambitions in the region. The alliance was expected to bring significant American investment into Trinidad and Tobago's energy sector, potentially reshaping the economic landscape of the island nation. However, after weeks of deliberation and behind-the-scenes negotiations, Trinidad and Tobago's government issued a firm and unequivocal statement, making it clear that they would not be swayed by promises of economic incentives or political pressure from Washington. This decision was not made lightly. It followed extensive consultations with local industry leaders, civil society groups, and regional partners, all of whom voiced concerns about the long-term consequences of deepening dependency on foreign powers. But Trinidad and Tobago's leaders have made it clear they are charting their own course. Citing concerns over national sovereignty, economic independence, and the need to prioritize local interests, the government has chosen to distance itself from Washington's agenda. This public rejection not only challenges U.S. influence in the Caribbean, but also signals a new era of assertiveness for Trinidad and Tobago on the global stage. By standing firm, the nation is sending a powerful message to both its citizens and the international community. Trinidad and Tobago will not compromise its autonomy for short-term gains. Instead, the government is focusing on building partnerships that respect its sovereignty and support sustainable development. As the world watches closely, this bold move could inspire other Caribbean nations to reevaluate their own relationships with major powers, potentially reshaping the geopolitical landscape of the region for years to come. When Donald Trump unveiled his ambitious America's First Energy Alliance, it sent shockwaves through the international energy community. The plan was bold, sweeping, and unmistakably in line with his signature America First approach. Trump envisioned a powerful coalition of Western Hemisphere nations, united under U.S. leadership, to control and secure the region's vast energy resources. The proposal was not just about economics, it was about geopolitics, security, and reshaping alliances for decades to come. At the heart of this vision was a demand for unwavering loyalty from key energy-producing countries, especially Trinidad and Tobago, a small nation with outsized influence in the oil and gas sector. Trump's announcement was made with his characteristic flair, standing before a sea of American flags and flanked by top advisors. He spoke of a new era for the Western Hemisphere, one in which the United States would no longer be dependent on foreign adversaries for its energy needs. Instead, he promised, the Americas would become a fortress of energy independence with the U.S. at the helm. The message was clear. The days of fragmented energy policies and divided loyalties were over. Trump called on leaders from Canada to Argentina to join this alliance, but it was Trinidad and Tobago, with its strategic location and vast reserves, that quickly became the focal point of his plan. The international response was immediate and intense. Energy markets reacted with volatility as investors and governments scrambled to assess the implications of Trump's proposal. Some saw opportunity, a chance to align with the world's largest economy and gain access to American technology, investment, and security guarantees. Others, however, viewed the alliance as a thinly veiled attempt to reassert U.S. dominance in the region, potentially at the expense of smaller nations' sovereignty and long-standing partnerships. Trump's administration insisted that Trinidad and Tobago sever all energy partnerships with non-Western countries, particularly those with ties to rival powers like China and Russia. The message was clear. To be part of this exclusive alliance, Trinidad had to realign its foreign policy and energy strategy, cutting off decades-old relationships and lucrative deals with non-Western partners. This demand placed Trinidad's leaders in a difficult position, forcing them to weigh the benefits of U.S. partnership against the risks of alienating other global players and destabilizing their own economy. For decades, Trinidad and Tobago had carefully balanced its international relationships, leveraging its energy resources to attract investment from a diverse array of partners. Chinese and Russian companies had played significant roles in developing Trinidad's oil and gas infrastructure, providing not only capital but also technical expertise and access to global markets. Severing these ties would not only disrupt existing projects, but could also trigger diplomatic fallout, jeopardizing trade agreements and future investment opportunities. The stakes were high, and the pressure from Washington was relentless. Behind closed doors, Trinidad's government convened emergency meetings with industry leaders and foreign policy advisors. The question on everyone's mind was simple, yet profound. Could Trinidad afford to turn its back on the East in exchange for a promise from the West? The answer was anything but clear. Some officials argued that aligning with the U.S. would bring much-needed stability and open doors to new markets. Others warned that the country risked becoming overly dependent on a single partner, leaving it vulnerable to shifts in American policy or changes in global energy demand. In exchange for this realignment, the United States sought exclusive strategic access to Trinidad's critical oil and gas infrastructure. This included not only the refineries and pipelines that power the nation's economy, but also the vital shipping lanes that connect Trinidad's energy exports to the world. The U.S. wanted to ensure that its companies and military had priority access, effectively making Trinidad a linchpin in America's energy security strategy. For Trinidad, this meant ceding a significant degree of control over its most valuable assets, raising questions about sovereignty and long-term national interests. The proposed agreement would grant American firms preferential rights to invest in, operate, and even secure Trinidad's energy facilities. U.S. military advisors would be stationed at key sites, ostensibly to protect against sabotage or foreign interference. In practice, however, this would give Washington unprecedented influence over Trinidad's energy sector, from production quotas to export destinations. Critics within Trinidad's parliament voiced concerns that the country's independence was being traded away for vague promises and uncertain benefits. The shipping lanes around Trinidad are among the busiest in the Caribbean, serving as a gateway for energy exports to North America, Europe, and beyond. By controlling these routes, the U.S. could not only safeguard its own energy supplies, but also exert pressure on other nations that rely on Trinidad's exports. This strategic leverage was not lost on regional observers, who warned that the alliance could upset the delicate balance of power in the hemisphere. In return for these sweeping concessions, the United States offered what it described as security guarantees. However, the details of these promises remained vague, leaving Trinidad's leaders uncertain about the true extent of American support. Would the U.S. provide military protection, economic aid, or simply diplomatic backing? The lack of clarity fueled debate within Trinidad's government and among its citizens, as they grappled with the potential rewards and risks of joining Trump's Grand Alliance. The proposal marked a turning point, not just for Trinidad and Tobago, but for the entire region's approach to energy, security, and international relations. As the debate raged on, ordinary Trinidadians took to the streets and social media to voice their opinions. Some saw the alliance as a chance to modernize the country's infrastructure and secure a brighter future for the next generation. Others feared that Trinidad would become a pawn in a larger geopolitical game, its resources exploited for the benefit of foreign powers. The government faced mounting pressure to hold public consultations and ensure that any decision reflected the will of the people. Meanwhile, neighboring countries watched closely, aware that the outcome in Trinidad could set a precedent for the rest of the region. If Trinidad joined the America's first energy alliance, others might follow or resist, seeking alternative partnerships with China, Russia, or the European Union. The stakes extended far beyond energy, touching on issues of national identity, regional solidarity, and the future of the Western Hemisphere itself. In the end, Trump's proposal forced Trinidad and Tobago and its neighbors to confront difficult questions about sovereignty, security, and the true cost of partnership with a global superpower. The choices made in the coming months would shape not only the region's energy landscape, but also its place in a rapidly changing world. Trinidad's response to the international proposal was far from a simple rejection. Instead, the government took a bold and strategic approach, signaling to the world that it was ready to chart its own course. Rather than just closing the door, Trinidad's leaders saw an opportunity to redefine the nation's future and its place on the global stage. The decision was not made lightly. It came after weeks of intense debate within Parliament, consultations with local industry leaders, and careful consideration of the long-term impacts on the country's economy, environment, and sovereignty. The government's press conference in Port of Spain was packed with journalists, diplomats, and business leaders, all eager to hear what direction Trinidad would take. The air was thick with anticipation as the Prime Minister stepped up to the podium, flanked by cabinet members and national flags. The message was clear. Trinidad was not simply reacting but proactively shaping its destiny. The days leading up to the announcement were marked by a flurry of activity behind closed doors. Lawmakers pored over reports, weighing the potential risks and rewards of various options. Public opinion was divided, with some citizens expressing concern about foreign influence, while others hoped for a bold move that would secure Trinidad's future prosperity. The government's communications team worked overtime to ensure that the public was kept informed, holding town hall meetings and releasing statements to clarify the nation's priorities. In the end, the decision reflected a careful balancing act, one that sought to protect Trinidad's interests while embracing the possibilities of international partnership. As the Prime Minister began to speak, the room fell silent. Cameras flashed, capturing the moment for audiences around the world. The Prime Minister's words were measured but resolute, emphasizing the importance of national unity and the need for forward-thinking leadership. "We stand at a crossroads," the Prime Minister declared, "and we choose to move forward, not alone, but with partners who share our vision for a sustainable and secure future." The statement was met with applause, signaling broad support for the government's approach. It was clear that Trinidad was ready to take its place as a leader in the Caribbean and beyond, setting an example for other nations facing similar challenges. In a move that surprised many observers, Port of Spain announced a simultaneous and historic partnership with Canada. This wasn't just a routine diplomatic gesture, it was the unveiling of a comprehensive green energy and security pact, the first of its kind in the region. The agreement was the result of months of behind-the-scenes negotiations, with both Trinidadian and Canadian officials working tirelessly to craft a deal that would benefit both nations. The handshake between the two delegations symbolized more than just cooperation. It marked the beginning of a new era for Trinidad, one rooted in innovation, sustainability, and international collaboration. The flags of Trinidad and Canada, displayed side by side, sent a powerful message of unity and shared purpose to the watching world. The partnership with Canada was not chosen at random. Canadian officials had demonstrated a deep understanding of Trinidad's unique challenges and aspirations, offering not just financial support, but also a willingness to listen and adapt to local needs. The negotiations were characterized by mutual respect and a shared commitment to transparency. Both sides recognized that the stakes were high, not just for their own countries, but for the entire Caribbean region. The pact was designed to be a model for how small island nations and major economies could work together to address the pressing issues of our time, from climate change to economic inequality. The announcement was met with widespread interest from the international community. News outlets from around the globe reported on the partnership, highlighting its potential to reshape the energy landscape of the Caribbean. Environmental organizations praised the agreement for its ambitious goals, while business leaders saw new opportunities for investment and growth. For many Trinidadians, the partnership represented a source of national pride, a sign that their country was being recognized as a forward-thinking and capable player on the world stage. At the heart of the pact is a sweeping commitment to renewable energy. Trinidad will receive billions of dollars in Canadian investment, aimed at transforming the nation's energy landscape. This funding will support the construction of wind farms along the coast, the installation of solar panels in both urban and rural communities, and the modernization of the country's power grid. The goal is ambitious: to transition Trinidad away from fossil fuels and toward a future powered by clean, sustainable energy. This investment is expected to create thousands of new jobs, stimulate local industries, and position Trinidad as a regional leader in green technology. The government has already begun identifying sites for new renewable energy projects, and training programs are being launched to equip Trinidadians with the skills needed for this new sector. The scale of the renewable energy initiative is unprecedented in Trinidad's history. Experts from both countries are collaborating to design wind farms that will harness the steady Caribbean breezes, while solar arrays are being planned for schools, hospitals, and community centers. These projects are not just about generating electricity, they are about empowering communities, reducing energy costs, and improving quality of life for ordinary citizens. The government has pledged to ensure that the benefits of the transition are widely shared, with special attention given to rural areas that have historically been underserved by the national grid. In addition to the physical infrastructure, the pact includes a robust framework for research and development. Trinidadian universities are partnering with Canadian institutions to study new energy technologies and develop solutions tailored to the island's unique environment. Scholarships and research grants are being made available to students and scientists, fostering a culture of innovation that will drive progress for years to come. The government is also working with local businesses to encourage the growth of a homegrown green technology sector, creating opportunities for entrepreneurship and economic diversification. But the benefits of the pact go beyond just financial investment. Trinidad will gain privileged access to cutting-edge Canadian technology, from advanced energy management systems to state-of-the-art grid monitoring tools. Canadian engineers are already working alongside Trinidadian technicians, sharing expertise and building local capacity. This technology transfer is designed to ensure that Trinidad can not only implement but also maintain and expand its renewable infrastructure for decades to come. The partnership includes scholarships and exchange programs for Trinidadian students and professionals, fostering a new generation of energy experts who will drive the country's sustainable development. In control rooms across the country, Trinidadian workers are learning to operate sophisticated systems that will make the nation's energy supply more reliable, efficient, and environmentally friendly. The collaboration between Canadian and Trinidadian engineers is fostering a spirit of innovation and mutual learning. Workshops and training sessions are being held in cities and towns across Trinidad, where local workers are introduced to the latest advancements in energy technology. These sessions are not just technical, they also emphasize the importance of environmental stewardship and community engagement. The goal is to create a workforce that is not only skilled, but also deeply committed to the values of sustainability and social responsibility. The technology transfer extends to every level of the energy sector. From the installation of smart meters in homes and businesses to the deployment of artificial intelligence for grid optimization, Trinidad is rapidly becoming a showcase for what is possible when nations work together. The government has established a new agency to oversee the implementation of the pact, ensuring that projects are completed on time and within budget. This agency is staffed by a diverse team of experts, including young professionals who have returned to Trinidad after studying abroad. Their expertise and enthusiasm are helping to drive the country's transformation. Security is another cornerstone of the agreement. Recognizing the growing threats in the digital and maritime domains, Trinidad and Canada have established a mutual security framework focused on cyber defense and maritime patrols. This includes joint training exercises, intelligence sharing, and the deployment of advanced surveillance technologies to protect Trinidad's critical infrastructure and territorial waters. Canadian experts are helping to set up a state-of-the-art cyber defense operations center in Port of Spain, while Trinidadian naval forces are receiving new equipment and support for patrolling the Caribbean Sea. The Security Pact is designed to safeguard not only Trinidad's energy assets, but also its broader national interests, ensuring stability and resilience in an increasingly complex world. The cyber defense component of the agreement is particularly significant. As Trinidad's energy infrastructure becomes more advanced and interconnected, the risk of cyber attacks increases. The new operations center will serve as the nerve center for monitoring and responding to digital threats, with teams of analysts working around the clock to detect and neutralize potential risks. Training programs are being developed to build local expertise in cybersecurity, creating a new generation of professionals who can protect the nation's digital assets. Maritime security is also a top priority. Trinidad's location at the crossroads of major shipping routes makes it vulnerable to a range of threats, from piracy to smuggling. The partnership with Canada includes the provision of new patrol vessels, radar systems, and communication equipment, as well as joint exercises to improve coordination between the two countries' naval forces. These efforts are helping to secure Trinidad's borders and ensure the safe passage of goods and people through its waters. By choosing this path, Trinidad has made a clear statement about its values and ambitions. Rather than opting for exclusive extraction deals that could compromise its autonomy, the nation has embraced a sustainable partnership with a G7 country that is actively distancing itself from the policies of the previous U.S. administration. This alignment with Canada reflects Trinidad's commitment to environmental stewardship, technological progress, and international cooperation. The decision has been widely praised by environmental groups, business leaders, and ordinary citizens alike, who see it as a bold step toward a more prosperous and sustainable future. As the city of Port of Spain buzzes with renewed optimism, Trinidad stands as a model for other nations seeking to balance economic growth with social responsibility and global engagement. The impact of the pact is already being felt across the country. New businesses are springing up to support the renewable energy sector, from manufacturers of solar panels to companies specializing in energy-efficient appliances. Schools are incorporating lessons on sustainability into their curricula, inspiring young people to pursue careers in science and technology. Community organizations are launching initiatives to promote energy conservation and environmental awareness, building a grassroots movement that complements the government's efforts. Internationally, Trinidad's decision is being watched closely by other small island nations facing similar challenges. Delegations from across the Caribbean have visited ports of Spain to learn more about the partnership and explore opportunities for collaboration. The government has expressed its willingness to share its experiences and support regional efforts to promote sustainable development. In doing so, Trinidad is not only securing its own future, but also contributing to a broader movement for positive change in the Caribbean and beyond. As Trinidad embarks on this new chapter, the sense of possibility is palpable. The challenges ahead are significant, but so too are the opportunities. With strong leadership, a clear vision, and the support of international partners, Trinidad is poised to become a beacon of progress and innovation in the region. The journey will not be easy, but the nation's commitment to sustainability, security, and social responsibility offers a roadmap for others to follow. In the years to come, the story of Trinidad's response will serve as an inspiration to all who believe in the power of bold ideas and collaborative action to shape a better world. This is a monumental rejection, one that truly shakes the foundations of Caribbean geopolitics. It's not just a simple disagreement, it's a bold statement from regional leaders, signaling a new era of independence and self-determination. At the same time, it clearly exposes the limits of Trump's influence in shaping international policy within the Caribbean region. We are witnessing a truly historic realignment of global power, something that will be remembered for generations to come. The world as we know it is changing right before our eyes, and it's important that everyone understands the magnitude of these shifts. So, don't keep this information to yourself. Share this video in every group you're part of, and with your family and friends. Help others see how the balance of power is evolving in real time, and be part of this global conversation. To follow the ripple effects of this massive story as they unfold across the globe, make sure you stay connected with us. Hit subscribe so you never miss an update, and ring the notification bell to be the first to know when new developments break. Share this report widely with your friends, family, and colleagues to help spread awareness. Your engagement helps us bring you the most important news as it happens, right when you need it.